Welcome to New York's number 2 sports show. The Rangers have lost 4 in a row. They lose to the Washington Capitals 3-2 in a game where they had the lead 2-1 going to the third, and they blew it. They had, not a good third period. Rangers haven't been really playing all that well lately. And so, again, first 4-game losing streak of the season. First time they've lost 3 straight in regulation this season. So, yeah, this is definitely, no doubt about it, the low point in the season as we've reached the halfway point. 26-13-2. If you had told me that before the season started, of course, that's great. But really, I would say we're on about a month and a half now of the Rangers not playing great hockey. They got off to the first couple months was just great. And somewhere in December, it's really, really dropped off. Mika Zibanejad returned today. That really didn't help at all. And I'll be fair to him. He is coming off of the illness. So, maybe there's a little bit of a delayed effect with him. But I don't know. So Zibanejad returns and Zach Jones comes out of the lineup. And they also made a little bit of a switch where Anton Bleed made his Ranger debut. He replaced Jake Leschyshyn. So, again, that's all much to do with nothing. Once Tyler Pitlick and/or Kaapo Kakko comes back, those players will be gone. But, I really think you got to split Zibanejad and Kreider up. It's just, and look, you can always go back to it and probably will, but I would separate them. Not enough 5-on-5, just not enough is happening really at all. And I think that we've seen Kreider, last year when it was Kreider, Trocheck, Vesey, I think was the line. I thought that was a pretty good line. And I'm not saying, it would, the problem is there's such a drop off right now without Hedel. The problem is if you want to keep that Panarin, Trocheck, Lafreniere line together, and let's say you want to split Kreider and Zibanejad up, then what? You have Kreider with Goodrow or Bonino as center or Brodzinski. It's a bit of a joke. That's kind of part of the problem. I actually thought Will Cooley looked pretty good on the line with Kreider and Zibanejad. I thought that I think he deserves to just stay up there. Certainly compared to everything else. You don't want Blake Wheeler in that spot. But I think that that's a major problem. As good as the Trocheck line is, defensively they're not that good. But you're not going to break that line up. So again, I think Zibanejad and Kreider, I think Laviolette really needs to consider shaking that up somehow. And I'm not saying that's going to be the solution, but you got to do something. Also, Keandre Miller and Jacob Trouba, they have not been playing well, at all. And it seemed like Keandre Miller maybe turned a little bit of a corner, right, about a few weeks ago, maybe, but that was extremely short-lived. I think Miller's been awful. Again, Trouba, who had been really good when the Rangers were winning, and I think his game is tailed off. So Adam Fox scores both goals today. He actually has 3 goals in his last 2 games, but even Adam Fox defensively, has a pretty big fuck up on the Washington winning goal. Jonathan Quick was in that, and I don't think that you can at all blame Jonathan Quick. Honestly, again, it goes back to you want that big save, but I don't think any of the 3 goals he allowed, none of them were bad. None of them were bad. Barclay Goodrow's awful. The fact that after this season, there's 3 more years in his contract is just bad. And we've said that now. And so, yeah, it's just all the way around. Again, there's no real concern in terms of them making the playoffs, but that shouldn't even be the thought process. They're just not playing well. And it's been like this for a while. And I'm not going to blame Laviolette. I'm not going to. It is the core of this team that they get into these funks. And knowing them, they will break out of it at some point. They will, and they'll go on a stretch, and all will be forgotten. But it's a reminder of what they are. And I just thought today they were, and maybe this has been a theme, they were too soft. I thought that, I'm not talking about from an individual standpoint, just team-wide. The goals that Washington, those 2 goals they scored in the third were way too easy. Lift a stick at least. They're just standing there. And the Rangers are really bad in terms of odd man rushes the other way. And just that transition game, they can't defend it. They make a turnover, it's ending up in the back of their net. So again, while it's not like they're getting it's not like they're getting embarrassed by any means, but they're not playing a good brand of hockey. Like, to me, the results are somewhat deserved, and we'll see what happens tomorrow. I've said this a lot, and they kind of haven't been, but I think they'll be ready to go, right? I mean, you're playing the Caps again. It's the last game against them this season. They beat you 2 out of 3 so far. The home team has held serve. So hopefully the Rangers tomorrow can play a good game. But as far as this game goes, Alexander Ovechkin wasn't in the lineup for Washington. And normally I'd make a bigger deal about that. Ovechkin, it's been a drop-off for him, but it is, again, of note that he didn't play. And so in theory, that should have given the Rangers a little bit of an edge, but not to be. But at 8:58, Tom Wilson boards Johnny Brodzinski. Again, Tom Wilson's always involved in something. And Anton Bleed and Connor McMichael end up getting a couple of roughing minors, but the Rangers get a power play and they don't score. And that's a huge thing too. The Rangers go 0 for 3 on the power play. The Rangers are so dependent on that power play. And that's too bad. I mean, it's a really good power play. But you don't want to be dependent on it. And it feels like they are. And when they don't score, typically they don't win. So they don't, power play is unsuccessful. But the Rangers do take the lead. And they did this against St. Louis as well. And it's Adam Fox who does it again. So in net for the Capitals was Ryan Lindgren's brother, Charlie, who defeats the Rangers again. At least this time he didn't shut them out. But Lindgren's D partner, Fox, scores his 6th of the season from Cooley and Kreider at 13:23. So again, like, Fox from the offensive side of things has been, coming on lately. But just, defensively, I don't like how he's been playing. But Rangers take a 1-0 lead there. Then at 15:17, Rangers get another power play where Nick Dowd, basically, it was a clean hit by Lindgren. I forget who it was on, but Nick Dowd ends up coming in and gets the extra 2 minutes, but the Rangers don't score on the power play. And then after they don't score on it, very soon after, Anthony Mantha comes in all alone on a breakaway and scores at 17:50 from McMichael. This is a play where Keandre Miller gets a shot blocked, and Trouba is unable to stop the pass from McMichael to Mantha. So I think blame goes to them, especially Keandre, but Trouba couldn't prevent it either. And so it's 1-1 going to the second period. I thought the Rangers got worse as this game went on, although, I guess one could argue that. But in the second, Adam Fox scores again. It was a slap shot, good screen by Vesey. And so Fox scores his 2nd of the game, 7th of the season, unassisted to give the Rangers a 2-1 lead. Ryan Lindgren takes a penalty at 12:52. He trips Nick Jensen, but the Rangers kill it off. So they go to the third up 2-1. And yet again, it's a failed power play. Pacioretty cross-checks Lindgren, but a minute in, a bad penalty by Chris Kreider. He slashes John Carlson. Just a bad penalty. Eventually, it's back to 5-on-5. And 10 seconds after 5-on-5, again, it's the post-penalty failures that hurt them. Nick Dowd ties it up. His 7th of the season from Kuznetsov and Carlson. So nice play by Kuznetsov going around the net, kind of flinging a pass mid-air to Dowd. And Dowd does a nice job of batting it in under the crossbar. It's a legal goal. And Goodrow's right. I mean, Goodrow's got to be a little bit tighter on him. Again, give the Caps credit. This was a nice goal, but Keandre Miller was kind of chasing the puck around on this one, and Goodrow has got to do a better job of just kind of wrapping up Dowd. And, I just feel like the Rangers are not doing a good job with their sticks defensively. Like, again, it's just too easy. And then less than 2 minutes later, the Caps take the lead. TJ Oshie scores his 3rd goal of the season from Dylan Strome and Edmondson. So Oshie, this was Adam Fox with kind of a lazy, bad turnover. And then it's a mini, it's like a kind of a mini 2-on-1 where Strome finds Oshie. And I think Trouba was the one that was, again, Trouba needed to be better there. For some reason, was it Trouba? Because why would Fox and Trouba? Fox was on, I think, with someone other than Lindgren in that moment. But either way, Fox with a bad play. And again, that was just way, way too easy. So the Caps take a 3-2 lead. Then at 14:33, Lafreniere is called for slashing Connor McMichael. Rangers kill that off. Then, Quick is pulled. Rangers had some chances 6-on-5, but Lindgren was up to the task. Capitals get it done and they win. So this loss definitely stung. We'll see, I think if the Rangers somehow lose tomorrow, fans will be really, really up in arms and really frustrated. I mean, if they're not already, because I think you have to just wipe aside the fact that the Rangers were so resilient and in many ways it was really impressive what they were doing, but hey, that's not now. That's not now anymore. So living in the present, the Rangers really need to turn it around, and no better time than tomorrow. And they should be fired up. Honestly, I'm not expecting it, but the Rangers should go out there and beat the Capitals soundly. This isn't a prediction, but this is hey, just you gotta put this to a stop. And look, you have a 4-game losing streak. That's not good. You have 1 point in your last 4 games. So because of that, now Carolina is only 3 points behind the Rangers, same games played in the division. And you can start forgetting about you can start forgetting about Boston and other teams like that. And quite frankly, Florida's now ahead of them. Florida's better than, if we're being completely honest, Florida's a little bit better than the Rangers. Not by leaps and bounds. But if Carolina continues this, there's a very good chance they're going to pass the Rangers. And is that the end of the world? No, it's not. It's all about making the playoffs, but you got to play well. And what does Chris Drury do? Does he consider at some point making a trade? Now, his options are somewhat limited, but I think at some point a shakeup is needed because this team does not look good, and Peter Laviolette doesn't have answers. And I don't mean to but I'm not putting this on him. I'm not, because again, it's a consistent theme. It doesn't matter whether it's David Quinn. It doesn't matter whether it's Gerard Gallant or Peter Laviolette. This is, maybe I'm being too hard on them, but it brings me back to other times over the last few years where we see this out of them, and it's just not a recipe for success. So again, in a matinee game in Washington, the Rangers blow a third period lead. They lose 3-2. Now they will head home to take on these same Washington Capitals in a home-and-home with another matinee game. And this time, it'll be at Madison Square Garden.